lifted in every endeavor, stronger than ever. Yeah. No teardrop, no howling winter wind could ever throw me off my journey. I will walk without a fear, past the wolf at my front door. Stronger than ever, no, never alone. Stronger than ever, mine. Look how I've grown. Lifted in every endeavor. When I look back on all I've done, everything I've lost or won, it all fades into the glory of my never-ending story. Stronger than ever, no, never alone. Stronger than ever, mine. Look how I've grown. Lifted in every endeavor. Stronger than ever, no, never alone. Stronger than ever, mine. Look how I've grown. Lifted in every endeavor. Stronger than ever. Stronger than ever.
Good morning. That's my husband. Hey, sit down over there. You're making shenanigans this morning. Welcome to New Thought Center for Spiritual Living. I am practitioner and ministerial student Shelly Walker, and it is such an absolute joy to be in community with you this day and online with you this day. This is the time in our service where we acknowledge that we are on the ancestral ground of the Kalapuya people, and we affirm Indigenous history, experiences, and sovereignty. If you are new to this community, whether here in the building or with us online, I want you to know that we are an inclusive, progressive, and compassionate spiritual community. We honor all paths to the divine, and we honor you. We honor your life. We honor your choices. We honor who you are, and you are welcome here. There's a lot of information about us on our website. Just go to newthoughtscsl.org. There's a welcome table if you're here in the building. I don't know if y'all saw the weekly email this week, but I was looking at it on my phone and I just kept scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. We are an abundant community. There is so much going on. So make sure you're signed up for those emails. If you have any questions about that, you can check in with Carolyn, our wonderful office manager. Let's talk about our vision and our mission. Here at New Thought Center for Spiritual Living, feel free to read these with me. Let's start with our vision. Recognizing our oneness, we envision a world that works for everyone and all creation. And our mission, providing spiritual tools for personal and global transformation. We have some absolutely stunning hydrangeas here, and they are for our wonderful Sandy. They says, happy birthday to my bestest Sandy. Love, Mary Ann, your best friend. Yes, those are from Mary Ann. Isn't that dear? Happy birthday, darling. I'm so glad you were born. Listen, y'all, we have an absolutely phenomenal hour coming towards you. We have the wonderful Blaine Moody here doing music. We have Darcy Bradley, Brian Harrison, New Thought Messengers. It's going to be fabulous. So sit back, relax, enjoy. Practitioner Dana is going to come up and lead us in an opening blessing.
Good morning. So good to see you today. It is a beautiful day. Yes. Okay, I invite you now to just close your eyes or cast your eyes down as you are comfortable. And let's center ourselves in our breath. Let's take a deep breath in and release it. And I know that there is only one presence, one power, one spirit, one divine intelligence right here, right now, in this sanctuary, online, in the world, and in us as individuals. We are all manifestations of this spirit, of this love. We are spirit in shoes. And I know today that each one of us is divinely guided here, and that there is a seed in Practitioner Shelly's message for each of us that we can take and plant in our consciousness and water with love, compassion, and in safety as we make this journey as spiritual beings, as we manifest ourselves as love. And I am so grateful for all the hands it takes to make this service happen. The music ministry, the audiovisual team, the children's ministry, the volunteers, the practitioners here and online. And so I know today our time is divinely blessed, and I am grateful. Blessed be, and so it is. And so now it's time for our spiritual practice, and I invite you to stand as you wish or as you may, but whatever, enjoy the music and take in the beautiful message. Yes, you are a divine light.
my body, my soul are part of a perfect whole. My heart and my hands are serving a sacred plan. I know that it's true when all that I am comes down to you. I know that it's true. I know that I can rely on you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. My thoughts and my mind belong to eternal time. My words and my song, you're writing them all along. I know that it's true when all that I am comes down to you. I know that it's true. I know that I can rely on you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. So completely I surrender to the will of the highest power. So completely I remember all the love of my soul's creator. So completely I surrender to the will of the highest power. So completely I remember all the love of my soul's creator. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. And so it is.
So it is. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much, Brian Harris and our beautiful team. You may be aware we have a phenomenal opportunity coming up at the end of this month. We have a meditation retreat with the incomparable Reverend Shannon O'Hurley leading us. And I have a special someone who has made a little video for you that I'd like for you to see. John?
Hi friends, Shannon O'Hurley here. Greetings and love to you from Japan. I am immersed right now in Japanese culture and Shintoism and Buddhism, and I cannot wait to bring what I've learned to you as a community, but also to our meditation retreat. So if you have not yet signed up for a meditation retreat, and this is something that you are interested in, there's like 2 more days, today and tomorrow, to register. It's March 31st through April 2nd, and we're going to do all kinds of things, including some very beautiful practices that I've learned while I'm here. So sign up if you're interested, and I so look forward to seeing you next week. Mwah. Love from Japan.
You in Japan, Reverend Shannon. It's so fantastic to see your face. Listen, we are closing registration at noon tomorrow, so this is really your last chance to get in on this beautiful opportunity with Reverend Shannon. I made a joke last week that wasn't really a joke. I don't know what you thought a meditation retreat was. I literally thought we would sit around for hours on end trying not to scratch our noses. That is not what meditation retreat is. Reverend Shannon takes us through all kinds of dynamic and active and personal ways to connect with Spirit. It is such a wonderful opportunity to reset your life. So register today. All right, Brian?
Thank you, Shelly. Now it is my true pleasure to introduce a longtime member of this community who you can find throughout the region, spreading love through music. Please welcome Blaine Moody. Way back when, in the beginning of time, man made the fire and the wheel, went from a horse to an automobile. He said the world is mine. He decked the oceans and the sky. He set the borders, built the walls, and he won't stop till he owns it all. But here we are, standing on the brink of disaster. Well, enough is enough, is enough, is enough. I know the answer. Put a woman in charge.
Put a woman in charge. Put a woman in charge.
Put the women in charge.
Put the women in charge.
Put a woman in charge.
Put a woman in charge. Put a woman in charge.
Put a woman in charge. The time has come. We've got to turn this world around. Call the mothers, call the daughters. We need the sisters of mercy now. She'll be a hero, not a fool. She's got the power to change the rules. And she's got something men don't have. She is kind and understands. So let the ladies do what they were born to do. Raise the vibration, make a better place for me and you. Put the woman in charge. 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 Put the women in charge. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. We're gonna feel the magic when the girls take over.
Take over.
It's gonna be fantastic.
Let's stand up and sing it. Put a woman in charge.
Put a woman in charge. Put a woman in charge.
Put the woman in charge.
Put the women in charge.
Put a woman in charge.
Put a woman in charge. Put a woman in charge.
Put the woman in charge. Put a woman in charge.
Put a woman in charge. Put a woman in charge.
Put the women in charge.
Put a woman 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 in charge. Put the woman in charge. Put the women in charge. Oh, put the women in charge.
welcome back to the music platform. It's going to take me a minute. Hold on just a second. That was my newly adult daughter singing about the magic that happens when we all are able to stand in the truth of who we are. And I'm going to need just a minute. Blaine, thank you so much for bringing that to us. Brian, thank you so much for empowering that message. And Faith, honey, it's going to be magic when you're in charge. I can't wait. I can't wait. Put this on. Well, as you now know, Reverend Shannon sends her great big love from Japan. She has been there. She comes home this week. She'll be with us next week. And we're going to be doing a book talk on this fabulous book that we've been studying this month in honor of Women's History Month called Wild Mercy, Living the Fierce and Tender Wisdom of the Women Mystics by Mirabai Starr. It has been quite a journey for me learning about these empowered women because I was raised in a very patriarchal world. I mean, we all were, but mine was particularly because I was raised in the South in a fundamentalist family. And learning this month about these women who stood in their truth hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, and knew the truth of who they were and taught from that place has been so empowering for me. But what I recognize as I do this work, I haven't actually started my talk yet, so I just need to share this with you. What I've been recognizing as I've been doing this work is I'm starting to really understand the patriarchy that Blaine was just teaching us about doesn't serve any of us. We all need to stand in our power in order to serve the world, in order to help the world survive, in order to empower our sons and our daughters and our siblings and our children. So I hope that you are enjoying our take on Women's History Month, because this empowerment that we're talking about, and we're going to talk a lot more about this next week, it's not about women putting men down and standing over them. No, that's the old way. It's about all of us walking arm in arm together in health and in safety and in peace. That's what we're talking about. It's about all of our empowerment. So, okay, I just needed to get that off my chest. So last week, we learned about this beautiful mystic named Bebe Nanaki, who was a Sikh founder, really. She's considered a mystic not because of what she said and what she taught and all of the books she wrote. She didn't do any of those things. But she's honored by millions of Sikh people worldwide because she saw the truth. She saw the divinity of her brother, and this empowered him to change their world. Today, we're going to talk about a very different kind of female mystic. Today, we're going to be talking about the Christian mystic, Teresa of Avila. Teresa of Avila. I want to introduce you to this powerful person by sharing one of my very favorite quotes of hers, and it's this. She said, "The important thing is not to think much, but to love much, and so to do whatever best awakens you to love." That's the person we're going to be talking about today. Teresa of Avila was born in Spain in 1515. Do you know what was happening in Spain in the 1500s? The Inquisition. Yes, this was kind of the middle century of the 300-year Spanish Inquisition. The Inquisition was happening because the king and queen of Spain had decided in the century before this that all of Spain was going to be Catholic, like it or not. When you think about Spain and you think about how close it is to Africa, there was a huge population of Africans who lived in Spain. They were called the Moors, and they were, for the most part, Muslim. there was also a very significant Jewish population that lived in Spain at the time. And when the king and queen just decided, no, we're all going to be Catholic, then you either had to leave or convert or die. Literally, those were your choices for those 300 years. So the Spanish Inquisition was originally intended mostly to identify people who had pretended to convert, but hadn't. So they were the heretics, right? So that was the Spanish Inquisition. That's the time period that we're talking about. I think time periods are really important to understand when we're talking about historical figures. Teresa's grandfather was actually one of those who was forced to convert from Judaism to Catholicism. And he did that to save his family from persecution. But when Teresa's father, Juan, was a child, I think he was about 9 at the time, someone decided that they were secretly practicing Judaism in the home. And so it being the time of the Spanish Inquisition, the entire family, including the children, were paraded around the rather large town they lived in, and they had to stop and kneel at every Catholic shrine while the priests hurled invectives at them, and while the townspeople spat on them and hurled anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic slurs at them. As you can imagine, this kind of shook that family. And it had a profound effect on Teresa's father, Juan. So when he became an adult and he married a good Catholic girl, and he raised his family in a devout Catholic home. So when Teresa got into a little bit of trouble when she was in her early teens, we don't know what this trouble was. We don't need to speculate. But she got in some trouble, so she was trotted off to the convent to finish her education. What this actually meant was she was trotted off to the convent so they could protect her and keep her pure. I mean, honestly, that's what they were talking about. So she spent her teenage years in the convent being educated, and absolutely no one, especially Teresa, thought that she would stay there after she graduated, but she had a calling. Surprised the heck out of her. But she was called to stay, and so she became a nun. She became a Carmelite nun, and there she stayed. So when she was in her 30s, she began experiencing these ecstatic spiritual states, these dreams and visions that were so complete that she would occasionally levitate. Literally, this is documented. Sometimes it would happen like while the nuns are all gathered, like, and they're just saying their Apostles' Creed and their Hail Marys. Can you imagine, like, your neighbor just starts like levitating? She hated it. She was so embarrassed by it. But this was the profound effect that being in communion with Spirit had on her. So profound that she rose up off the ground. So the Catholic Church, remember, this is right in the middle of the Inquisition. The Catholic Church had a choice to make. They said, is this diabolical, or is this true Catholicism? So they had an investigation. Luckily for her, she passed the test. But because of the Inquisition, they asked her to write down all of her spiritual experiences as far back as she could remember, and this created a habit in her of daily writing. So we have this massive record of this beautiful mind, this brilliant mind, and this gigantic heart. And we have, today, we have basically 3 books that we look to that we consider that she wrote. But I'm 100% sure that her lexicon is much greater than that, given that she wrote every day of her life. We're going to talk about a couple of the major metaphors that she brought to us that help us to understand this relationship with Spirit. So she eventually founded a reform movement called the Barefoot Carmelites, which focused on simple living, service, and spiritual practice. She was canonized as a saint about 60 years after she passed in 1622. And in 1970, she became the first woman to be named Doctor of the Church by, I think the Pope then was, no, I'm not going to, never mind. She became the first female doctor of letters of the Catholic Church. That was a really big deal. So what did she teach? She taught the exact same thing that all of the mystics that we have been studying teach. She taught that her take on it was that the soul is yearning to be reunited with its beloved, and its beloved is divine love. And this is our sacred journey. It's really beautiful. So in all great spiritual traditions, there's a mystic union between the soul and the divine. Think of Rumi writing love poems to the beloved. Think of the Song of Solomon in the Hebrew Bible, which could either be read as an epic love story or as an epic love poem between God, the Hebrew God, and his people, the Israelites. Think of the Gita Govinda, which tells the Hindu story of Krishna and his beloved, the divine consort, Radha, right? In each of these traditions and more, there is a soul yearning, our soul yearning to be reunited with the beloved, with the spirit, with the divine. In each of these traditions, in all of these stories, we were once together. And then we spent a horrible period of separation. Think of Moses in the desert, right? We've all had our desert times. And then we have times of reunion. In Teresa's personal experience, this was a cycle that happened for her. She spent much time in union with the divine, and she spent a lot of time lamenting and missing her beloved. In terms of mystic unity, that oneing, as Julian of Norwich spoke of it, where the soul and the divine have never actually been separated. In Wild Mercy, Mirabai Starr explains, the lover and the beloved have never been two. They have always been one and ever shall be. The soul's task is simply to remember, to remember. Last week we spoke about a little bit about that experience of what it feels like when we remember that union with the divine. You know, when we are in a place so beautiful that our soul stills in wonder and awe, or when something greater than us moves through us and we have access to wisdom that we didn't even know was available to us. My personal experience in this modern world, I stumble on these moments. That's what it feels like, that I'm stumbling upon the divine in these moments. But Teresa of Avila taught us that we cultivate these moments, and we cultivate them through spiritual practice. She had this lovely vision. This is one of the two amazing metaphors that she gives us in her writing. She had this lovely vision of the soul. So your soul is an interior castle. That's one of her books, The Interior Castle. So your soul is a castle inside of you. And it is made of beautiful crystal glass, rounded, curved rooms that kind of move in on each other. And when we're in the outer rooms of the castle, the voice of the divine is dim. We can barely hear it. But as we do that sacred work and get closer and closer to the center of ourselves, the song of spirit is loud and clear. I love this metaphor. It's through spiritual practice, it's through prayer, it's through contemplation, it's through music, it's through service that we begin to access those inner chambers of our soul. So the interior castle gives us that beautiful metaphor of the soul as a castle of glass. The other metaphor of hers that I absolutely love comes from her autobiography, which is Vida, which is Spanish for the life I lived, basically. She wrote about how spiritual practice is like watering a garden, and it basically has 4 stages. So at first, when you're watering the garden, you have to work really hard. You take your bucket to the well and you tie your bucket to it and you drop it down, and you have to hand pull the rope up until you have a bucket of water. And water's heavy. I don't know if you know this, but water is heavy. So you take your bucket and you carry it over to your garden, and half of it is sloshing out as you go, and whatever is left, you just kind of tip over the seeds and you hope something happens, right? You hope your garden survives, and you have to go back to the well again and again. Well, garden. Well, garden. This is early spiritual practice. We make it really hard. We miss out on half of the gifts trying to apply it to our lives, but we keep going back again and again. We keep going back to the well, trudging back and forth. And what this back and forthness does, or what it can do, is it builds discipline. And once we have that discipline built, then we suddenly have a bright idea to make it easier. And we make it easier by building a water wheel. And once we build a water wheel, this is how she laid out this metaphor. It's so cool. As we build a water wheel, suddenly all we have to do is turn a crank, and the water is drawn up and delivered through a pipe to a vat that's really close to your garden. So then all you have to do is pick up the vat. You lose a little on the way, and you water your garden, and you hope the seeds grow, right? You might still lose a little bit, and it's a noisy business. That water is very noisy and proud of itself when it gets to the garden. But it's a lot easier. There's no trudging back and forth as much. And there's still effort. We still have to make the time. We have to physically think, I'm going to water the garden now. And you have to have the discipline to go to the well and turn the crank and water the garden. And at this stage, we may be overly pleased with ourselves, but we still engage in the work to keep the garden of our life alive. And when we're at this stage, we have an access to get insights that we couldn't have before because we were too busy working. It was too hard. But now we begin to have spiritual insights. In the third stage of spiritual maturity, I would say, if the water source is here, you simply lift a gate, and the water goes through a series of irrigation ditches, and it goes directly where it needs to go, and it gently waters the seeds. This stage of spiritual practice is quiet, and it's restful, and it's gentle. And when I can get there, it is literally the thing that keeps me on my feet some days. It is power. The fourth way to water the garden, and by far the most effective, is rain. Rain is grace, you see. It can't be forced. You can't make it happen. It can only be received. I love best how Mirabai Starr describes it. She said, rain is a gift from Spirit. Our only task is to receive it and lift our hands in praise. Our individual identity softens, and we remember we are already one with the One, and always have been, and ever shall be. Rain is grace. Y'all remember that in 6 weeks when those of us here in Oregon have had a lot of rain. I don't know about you, but when I first started having a regular spiritual practice, it did feel like hard work. Discipline was not my thing. I will just let you know right now. It never has been, and it was a struggle for me. I felt awkward. I felt like I didn't know what the end game was. I felt like I didn't really know what I was doing, where I was going, and I certainly didn't have a map to get there. And for me at that time, spiritual practice was this, I would try on different things, which is great. It's really important to try on different types of spiritual practice. And over the course of my maturity in my spiritual practice, I still try on new things. It's so, so important. But at the time, I felt like I didn't have a clue what I was supposed to be doing. I just sat and tried. And that goes with both my prayer work and my meditation work. Everything just felt awkward. I can really relate to this idea of going back and forth between spirit and my life. Sit in truth. Oh, okay, we've got this spirit. And then the moment I step into my life, half of that truth has just disappeared, sloshed out of the bucket, and I'm left in my life going, what? What on earth? I can really relate to that. The thing that made the difference for me personally in my spiritual practice becoming a thing of ease and inspiration and grace instead of hard work and drudgery, the thing that made the difference for me is that I kept just showing up. I kept showing up to my chair. I kept showing up to my prayer. I kept showing up in community. Even when it was hard. Even when Reverend Shannon brought in a speaker that I didn't really like. Even when I didn't really jive with the music that day, which very rarely happens. I love the music. Even when practitioner Shelly's prayers were way too long and you really just wanted to get to lunch, whatever your thing is, keep showing up. In the same way that I kept showing up for my spiritual practice, as faulty as it was, as weak as my prayers felt, as difficult as it was to sit my little tuchus down in silent contemplation, you just keep at it. Because something in me and something in you knows that there is a sacred union that your soul is thirsty for. And it is that reunion with the divine. Being Catholic, the divine beloved of Teresa's understanding was Christ, the one who was God incarnate, the one who taught us to love our neighbors, to love each other as ourselves. This was her sacred beloved. You might not resonate with this version of the beloved. Maybe you resonate more with the divine as Shekinah. Shekinah is the Hebrew embodiment of the holy day of Shabbat, and she enters into the home on wings of light and gives us spiritual substance to live on for the week. Maybe that's your divine beloved. Or perhaps you resonate more with the divine as the great mother who lures us into the woods and shows us a path of peace and oneness and unity. And while in quiet contemplation, she gently removes the armor of our heart, right? Maybe that's the divine beloved that you resonate with. Maybe the one that you resonate is just that peace that passes all understanding. And that the more you practice your spiritual practice and commune with this peace, the easier it comes to you in times of crisis. Maybe like me, you find a resonance and a curiosity about all of the beautiful facets of spirit. Because it's like God is like a diamond with infinite facets, right? And every time we think we understand one, we realize that there are thousands more for us to understand. But every time we shed light on one, it gives light to the rest. It doesn't matter what your soul resonates with. What matters, what the mystics have been teaching us, is that it's all holy, it's all divine. Last week, we talked about seeing ourselves and each other with the eyes of love. Do you remember? How is that for you? Did you practice? Did you remember? It had been a while since I had done the practice of looking myself in the eyes and just being love for myself. And it was such a beautiful practice, a beautiful reminder for me. I found that I was more flexible and more patient when stuff came up. And stuff sure does like to come up sometimes when stuff didn't quite go as planned, when there were more people having unruly behavior in the middle school car line. Yikes, y'all. The reason this happens when we're doing our spiritual practice and when we're really applying ourselves, I honestly don't think that life is getting more lifey. I also don't think that Spirit is like building a testing ground for you. Spirit don't care about tests and what your score is. That's not what it's about. The reason that life starts to look more lifey is because we're awake. We're aware. We're alive to life. And so we're noticing things that before we had just been numbing or ignoring or stuffing down, right? Spirit doesn't want to test you. I'm letting you know right now, there is not a test. You have all passed. Congratulations. You're epic students. My 12-year-old, 13-year-old told me I'm not allowed to use the word epic anymore. Teresa of Avila said, Christ has no body now but yours. So instead of Christ, you could say Spirit or God or love or whatever that thing is that you resonate with. I'm going to say love. So Teresa of Avila said, love has no body now but yours. No hands, no feet on earth but yours. Yours are the eyes through which it looks with compassion on this world. Yours are the eyes through which the divine looks with compassion on this world. Remember that interior castle that we were talking about? That soul of yours with beautiful crystal clear walls. Over the course of your life, those walls have been muddied by your history, by your thinking, by intergenerational trauma, by personal trauma, by disappointment, by hurt. All of these things just dirty up our clarity of our soul. Some of us were born into a society that maybe didn't value the same things we value. Some of us were born into a society that maybe didn't value us. All of these things. Here you are, the age, the lovely age, whatever age you are, and all of these things have covered your soul. I accidentally wrote much. I meant to say muck. But the muchness of life has kind of covered it over. And all this time, love itself is sitting in that innermost room of your soul's castle, yearning to look on this world with love. All this time. And it can only do that when we clear the windows of our soul. Our spiritual practice is how we do this. So we can stop only seeing the mud and the muck of life that sometimes looks right here, doesn't it? It looks right here sometimes. That's because it's time for us to clean it up so that we can remember to look upon ourselves and the world with the eyes of love. In honor of St. Teresa, I want to teach you a Catholic prayer today. This was created many centuries after she lived, but it is so lovely and it is such an easy way to connect with the divine that I wanted to share it with you. This practice that we're going to talk about is called centering prayer. Have any of you practiced centering prayer? Yeah, it's really simple. So it has 4 steps. The first step is you choose a sacred word as the symbol, listen to this, It's the symbol of your intention to consent to Spirit's presence and action within. So you choose a word as a symbol that you are consenting to that spirit of love within you to have its way with you, to have its way in your heart, and to have its way in your life. You're consenting to it. So first you choose a word as your symbol. Then, sitting comfortably with eyes closed, settling briefly in silence, you silently introduce the word into your mind. And then, as you become aware of thoughts, you sit with your word. And as you become aware of thoughts, which will intrude, I promise, they will make their merry way in. And you can simply return to your word, just gently. Oh, I'm not thinking about lunch. I'm thinking about love. Oh, I'm not remembering that conversation. Love, love, love. And at the end of a few minutes, however long you decide, you just sit in silence for a moment and just allow the word to resonate in you. Isn't that beautiful? So simple. So simple. But imagine if we all did this and really rooted ourselves in the divine before we walked out into the world. You know? I was thinking, what if every day of the year you chose a different word and contemplated and anchored yourself in a different word for the divine? Wouldn't that be glorious? You know, these things change us, y'all. These spiritual practices change the way we feel, they change the way we look at things, and therefore we are able to change things because we have been changed. Can we take just a moment and do this sweet practice? If you're willing, I invite you to rest your eyes or cast them down or look at something beautiful for a moment, hydrangeas. And think of a sacred word that symbolizes your intention to allow Spirit to have its way with you today. And whatever that word is, it could be anything. It could be love, it could be peace, it could be spirit, it could be fork. It doesn't matter. It's a symbol that means yes. Yes. And so sit with this word for a moment. Notice your breathing. As you become aware of any thoughts, simply turn your attention back to that word. And as you dwell with this word, I'm going to invite our practitioners to come forward. And we're going to anchor this time with one of my favorite spiritual practices, which is prayer. Y'all, spiritual practice doesn't have to be hard. It just has to be regular. That's all. And all we have to do, the end game of it all, is simply to recognize the love that is at the very center of our being. This love that is everywhere present. This love that looked at this world and thought it needed us. My God. This love that is grace, this love that is wisdom, this love that is joy everlasting, and peace, peace, peace. This love has always been here, and this love even now is guiding, guarding, and directing our way. For this love is the truth of us. This love is our true nature. This love, this grace, this peace, this divinity. Why? It chose us as a sacred home to look out with our eyes and see the world with compassion, to move our hands and our feet to serve a world with compassion, to use our voice to speak love, to speak peace, to speak truth, and to use our lives to live it. And so for this love, I am so deeply grateful for every place on this planet this day that is celebrating this love. Oh, I am so grateful. This one light lifts us all. This one love lifts everyone. And for all of the hurting places, all of the hurting people, I know that this love is right where they are too. And as each of us does our work to be this love, I know that the hurting places are eased. And we commit ourselves to the work. We commit ourselves to the personal work, and we commit ourselves to the work in the world. In this, I am so deeply grateful. My God, in peace and in love and in gratitude, we let it be. Blessed, blessed be. And so it is. And so it is. All right, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. This is our time for conscious giving. Did you know that our money is another way that the divine moves through us? Our choices with our good make a big difference in the world. So I want to thank you for those of you who choose to contribute here. Know that it is doing good work in the world. Next week, we'll talk about the organizations that we're supporting and this ministry that you're supporting. We're extremely grateful. There are many ways to give. We have baskets here in the front. You can go online to newthoughtscsl.org, and there's a link in the chat box if you're online. You can text to give at 503-966-3236. So whatever is yours to give today, know that it is received with gratitude, it's received with love, and let's speak a blessing on it. From the love of pure spirit within me, I bless this gift. I send it forth to heal and bless and prosper. It does good work in the world and returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. Now, y'all, the divine is going to use our feet to dance. You might want to stand as you're able, Miss Darcy Bradley.
Now's the time for stepping out of place. Get up on your feet and give account of your faith. Pray to God or something, or whatever you do. 'Cause what I see can make me stop and stare. But who am I to judge the color of your hair? Surely y'all are feeling much the same as I do. 'Cause we got to keep this world together. Gotta keep it moving straight. Love like with me forever, so the people can relate. And if you're rolling to your left, don't forget I'm on your right. Trust and forgive each other. A little love and we just might. We gotta do something. We gotta do something. We gotta do something. Thinking about the troubles of today. Is it easier to put that gun away? Or is it difficult to stop the world and show that you care? Don't you know that everything be the guiding light to save us all. Maybe we can be the vision of a prophet man's dream. 'Cause we got to keep this world together. We gotta keep it moving straight. And love like we mean forever. So the people can relate. Ooh, and if you're rolling to your left, don't forget them on your right. And trust and forgive each other. A little love and we just might, just might. I have something, do you have something? 'Cause I have something for you. I have something, do you have something? 'Cause I have something for you. I have something, do you have something? 'Cause I have something for you. I have something for you. We got to keep this world together. Gotta keep it moving straight. And love like we need forever. So the people can relate. Ooh, and if you're rolling to your left, don't forget I'm on your right. Trust and forgive each other. A little love and we just might. Oh, we got to keep this world together. Ooh, we gotta keep it moving straight. And love like we need each other. So the people can relate. Ooh, and if you're rolling to your left, don't forget I'm on your right. And trust and forgive each other. A little love and we just might, just might. Everything and everyone we know is beautiful. 'Cause I have something, do you have something? 'Cause I have something for you. I have something, do you have something? 'Cause I have something for you. I have something for you. Woo, thank you guys.
Thank you so much. Some announcements. Again, tomorrow is the final day to sign up for the Spring Meditation Retreat. Register online or today at the registration desk downstairs in the Fellowship Hall. And the Teen Spring Plant Sale continues with all proceeds going to the Teen Camp Fund. Be sure and visit the table in the foyer to see all the offerings and ordering information. Looking ahead to Easter, our Jewish friends will be celebrating Passover, a holiday commemorating the Hebrews' liberation from slavery in Egypt. Our members, Joan Lubar and Alan Israel, both from the Jewish tradition, will be hosting a Seder dinner for us on Friday, April 7th, where we can learn about and experience this rich tradition. They will provide everything for the Seder plate, and the dinner will be a potluck. Please sign up for this wonderful celebration and social connection at the information tables or on our website. And speaking of Easter, if you would like to honor someone, you are invited to bring an Easter lily in remembrance to adorn the platform on Easter morning. If you watch us online or are unable to shop, go to our website and link to a form where you can donate, and our staff will purchase an Easter lily for you for the platform. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Practitioner Dana. I'd like to invite our practitioners who are here in the room to come down to the front. I want to let you know that there's prayer support available for you. If you're here in the building, there'll be practitioners here Avail yourself of this opportunity to lay any burden that you might have down and to walk away feeling refreshed and renewed. If you're online, we have practitioners have a Zoom room available for you as well. The link is in the chat box or on the homepage of our website. I want to honor all of the people watching us today from Oregon, Colorado, Arizona, Florida, California, Utah, and Germany. Thank you so much for joining us today. You are so loved. Y'all make sure you head downstairs for fellowship if you're here in the building. And I think we have just a few books left. I know Carolyn would love for you to visit the bookstore. We have just a handful of these left. We're going to be using it for our book talk next Sunday. So you might want to take a look at that. All right, Dana, come on in. Would you like to stand as you're able, and let's just bless each other out. May you go in the light, as the light, and with the light until we meet again. May the longtime sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide you on your way. You are so loved. Have a great week, y'all.
I really